help launch issue 46 of Borderlands. We've got a lot of great poets and some great art in the issue, and we're going to get to take it all in at once here. So I'm always really excited for these get-togethers with everybody, because it's not so often where you get to be in a room full of folks that love poetry. Because a lot of times when I say something about poetry in a room full of people, it kind of all of a sudden dissipates. So this always is exciting to me. So the way we're going to do things, we're going to first we're going to start off with our featured artist, Stephanie Rubiano. And you look, we have some of her work up displayed up here, and also towards the back. And so one of the things that she says in her artist statement about the assemblage work that she does is that and I'm going to kind of paraphrase, but in kind of a world where everything is very disposable, it's interesting to gather these things together and make art. And I think that that's a kind of beautiful testament to not only just environmentally, but then also when it comes to creating art. And I guess to a certain degree, that's something we're always doing when it comes to the act of collage or found items and found words. And I think there's a real close tie between that and poetry. So I'm going to read her bio real quick, and we're going to get to hear a little bit that kind of contextualizes this artwork before we get into the poems in the issue. And so Stephanie Rubiano graduated magna cum laude from Texas A&M in Galveston with a degree in marine biology, which is, of course means art. She worked as an environmental scientist for a major drilling company in Houston for 5 years afterwards. Therefore, it stands to reason that she has chosen art as a career path. Her love of nature and fascination with Victorian photography is apparent in her mixed media works through a combination of images from antique natural history books and antique photographs. So we'll hear a little bit from Stephanie about her work that's on display today.
First of all, I'd like to thank Borderlands so much for selecting my artwork to be a part of this fabulous publication. It also has a special place in my heart because I'm a fifth-generation Texan, and my parents came from small Texas towns to attend the University of Texas and never left, so born and raised here in Austin. That's kind of a rare thing these days. We get a lot of imports, which we're glad to have you here. But anyway, it's a neat town to grow up in and be a big part of. I'm a mixed media artist, and I love that because it means I get to do a little bit of everything. There's no rules, and I enjoy the synthesis of pulling in painting, collage, photography, just kind of whatever interests me that day, and synthesize something new out of it. The pieces that I really started out with originally are on this wall here that I'm an avid collector of antique photography, mid to late 1800s to the early 1900s. And just something in the imagery speaks to me, that frozen moment of time captured. And a lot of artists face a blank canvas, and I like to use these images that kind of, it's not so blank anymore, and can take it from there and kind of riff off, what were they thinking, or what do I think they were thinking, or things I can play with. And most of those pieces are 8x10s, and I have real butterfly wings and a variety of vintage and antique objects that I find. And then my mother was a literature major at UT, and so wordplay is a big thing in our family growing up. Puns were, it gets a little vicious sometimes with the one-upsmanship. Somebody starts and it just keeps going. And so a lot of my work started off kind of sweet and gentle, and then the words started coming and kind of followed those pathways. And having the smaller pieces, after I would sell the originals, I would use the artwork in note cards and merchandise. And my husband surprised me one year for my birthday and had a piece blown up. And I thought, I kind of like that big, because these are the size images that I generally work with, like a 10 type from the 1860s or a carte de visite from the late 1800s. And so to be able to take these images and have them kind of big and bold and to do things is what led to the larger mixed media pieces that were selected to be in the Poetry Journal. And again, just the young girl, the binoculars, which is an odd prop for that photo. She's standing here at the back of a chair and a set of binoculars, and you kind of wonder, was her family into, if they were naturalists, or that's the only prop the photo studio had that day? We don't know. So, and I also enjoy birds, the imageries from antique natural history books. And that one was just, yeah, the irony was not lost on Lily. Just looking forward to stare on her head. I did have, again, art is very subjective, as you know, especially with poetry and things. And I had a woman come in and she just stared at that one for the longest time and finally said, I just don't get it. I said, well, she's got the binoculars, the birds on her head. She went, oh, I thought those were 2 beer bottles. Could be. So anyway, with that, I will let you move on to the poets that we have to speak today, and thank you so much for being here.